Elon Musk is a billionaire, an inventor, a scientist, a designer, and one of the world's most innovative minds. He runs two companies that are trying to disrupt major industries that have been doing things the same way for decades. Aerospace with SpaceX and automobiles with Tesla. Tesla is making luxury all-electric cars, cars that have had a bit of controversy of late. Currently, SpaceX is essentially an intergalactic trucking company, taking loads back and forth from the International Space Station and bringing satellites up to orbit. In the future, it hopes to carry humans too. We met on a balcony overlooking the SpaceX factory floor. It was buzzing, literally and figuratively. The workers were preparing for an important launch on Monday. Elon Musk, pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
So this is the Dragon that goes up into space and is going to go up on Monday, correct?
Yeah, that's our Dragon spacecraft, or version 1, which is capable of taking cargo to and from the space station, including biological cargo like fish and mice and that kind of thing.
So when do human beings start going up in it, you think?
So we expect to complete version 2 of Dragon, which will have astronaut transport capability in about 2 years.
And most of what you do now is send satellites up into space, right? That's how you pay the bills.
Exactly.
But you want to do something much more ambitious with SpaceX.
Yeah, I mean, the long-term aspiration is to develop the technologies necessary to transport a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there. And that's really why I started the company, was because it seemed as though...
To create the possibility for life on other planets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sort of started off when I was thinking about what to do after PayPal. And I'd always been interested in space, but I didn't think there was anything that an individual could do in space. I mean, it seemed like the province of large governments. But I sort of started looking into it, and I went to the NASA website to find out when we're going to Mars. It seems like, obviously, that is the next thing after the moon. And I couldn't find anything. So I was like, wow, this just seems very strange.
So you decide you want to try and do this. And do you look at it as, why did you decide transport was the most important thing? I mean, I think people would regard living on Mars as...
No, that's the relatively easier thing. Yes, absolutely.
So we could live on Mars, just getting there is the problem.
Yes, but I mean, right now getting to Mars is impossible. So, like, it's kind of doesn't matter what what you do when you get there if you can't get there. So the first order of business is to figure out how to get there, and it needs to be in a way that enables large numbers of people and cargo. It can't just be like a handful of people, because that's obviously not going to create a self-sustaining civilization.
So you have this Grasshopper rocket, which unlike most rockets, which can't, which are not reusable, this one gently comes back down in a kind of vertical land.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the videos of this on the SpaceX website. The fundamental breakthrough, going back to the point of that developing a Mars transportation system, it has to be affordable to go. Like, it can't just be like billions of dollars per person to go to Mars. Then you just no way you could establish a base on Mars at that cost. So we have to develop rockets that are rapidly and as close to completely reusable as possible. As an example, the Falcon 9 costs about $60 million. I mean, it's sort of like a jet, it's like, but the cost of the propellant is only about $200,000.
Airplane travel, and I asked you why it is that with all this technological improvement over the last 30 or 40 years, the one thing that doesn't seem to have improved, and it is in the domain of the private sector, sort of, is jet travel.
Sure,
I mean, if
absolutely.
you're flying from New York to London, it takes about as long as it took 40 or 50 years ago. In fact, it takes longer.
It actually does take longer, because I mean, the 787, like I mean, since then, I don't think we've exceeded the 747, which is nutty.
Why doesn't SpaceX create the fastest jet plane in the world?
We got to focus on rockets.
When do you think you'll be able to achieve the aspiration of SpaceX of actually moving people to a place like Mars?
Well, I think we could probably send the first person in about 12 years.
Wow. Will you be that person?
Only if I'm confident that SpaceX will be fine if I die. That's, you know, if I was confident that the mission would continue if I wasn't around, then I would do it.
Where your cane falters, you depend on the kindness of others. Frank is an actor, and he's also blind. And for our actor Tracy, Frank is the perfect prey.
Can you tell me what these are?
Let me see. $1, $2, $3, $4. You have just enough for a coffee. You want me to order you one?
That would be great.
Okay.
If you saw someone taking advantage of those who can't see for themselves, what would you do?
Excuse me, can you do me a favor?